Dr. Lori Moore-Merrell was appointed by President Biden as the U.S. Fire Administrator on October 25th, 2021. Prior to her appointment, Lori served nearly 3 years as the President and CEO of the International Public Safety Data Institute, which she founded after retiring from a 26-year tenure as Senior Executive in the International Association of Firefighters. She began her fire service career in 1987 as a fire department paramedic in Tennessee at the City of Memphis Fire Department. Lori is a doctor of public health and a data scientist who has worked to change fire and EMS deployment throughout the world. As the principal investigator and senior project manager, she oversaw the development of landmark reports and other tools to improve residential and high-rise fireground operations, community risk assessment, fire and EMS research deployment, and big data analytics. Her work continues to influence executive decision-making across the fire service. Please welcome my friend, the U.S. Fire Administrator, Dr. Lori Moore-Merrell.
Good morning. There is nowhere I'd rather be right now than in a room full of firefighters. How exciting to see all of you here this morning and to be able to share on the back of what David Rhodes just talked about, a revolution. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the United States Fire Administration that was born from the America Burning Report that was released in 1973, a time in our nation when more than 12,000 people were dying each year due to fire. On that report was launched the law, the Fire Prevention and Control Act of 1974 that established the United States Fire Administration, along with our National Fire Academy, our legacy inverse data system, our capability for research, and today our mission is to make sure you are prepared to respond, to mitigate, and to prevent fire across our nation. So with that, another thing that came about with that legislation is that the U.S. Fire Administration would hold an annual summit on fire prevention and control. And we've held that summit for the last 2 years. And that gave us an opportunity to bring together our national leaders to listen to the leaders of our national organizations, that they would hear firsthand the challenges that we face in the fire service, that you face every day. President Biden has joined us for both those summits, and he personally has listened to the challenges and has passed legislation for firefighters, several pieces of legislation over the past 2 years. Out of that summit also grew the movement called the One Voice, the Fire Service One Voice. And I like that David has equated it to a revolution, because that's exactly what is happening. The One Voice revolution within the fire service is bringing us together like never before across all national organizations in solidarity, that we move in lockstep around 10 national strategies. And those national strategies, the first you see now, is around climate change and wildfire. It's around the flooding and the storms that are all being dubbed, we've never seen this before. This has never happened here before. I'm going to tell you that even now, our baseline risk of change, if you think you can respond to the risk of yesterday the same way you do tomorrow, we cannot. We must adjust our response capability to meet the risk, the changing baseline risk that we face in all of our communities. We also have to look at the new commission report that has been released. Many of the recommendations in this commission report to Congress around wildfire says you have to raise up the USFA to be able to prepare the nation's fire service. Because it's not just wildfire in the forest anymore. It is now in our communities, because we built communities toward risk, and we need our structural firefighters prepared for suburban conflagrations, much like what we saw in Maui. In Maui County, as those firefighters on an island, no one else coming, were up against structure-to-structure fire spread in the midst of hurricane gale force winds. And you all know what horizontal fire looks like. you're not getting in front of that. And so the outcome of that was 100 people lost their lives. We have to do better. We have to use science and technology in the wildfire space. Even now, we are working with Homeland Security Science and Technology to deploy new sensors, AI-capable sensors that can smell smoke and discern if it's wildfire and what is burning, so that our firefighters can be alerted early, so that they can respond quickly. You know how important it is to get to the point of origin, don't you? How quickly we must get to where the point of ignition has taken place so that we suppress the fire and keep it from becoming a disaster. We're also talking about recruitment and retention. How many of you are having recruitment issues? And if you can find good candidates, you can't get them through recruit school. So we are also facing this. We're watching as the IFF and the IFC are standing together to launch a national campaign, including the volunteer fire service on into the career. We're standing together. We have to do this better. We're coming together still on cancer. And I should mention that this one voice effort, for each of these strategies, there's a work group that are working these issues. And so our cancer work group has actually bifurcated into cancer and PFAS, because we have to talk about both. And I watched this morning the video that you saw on the National Registry for Firefighters for Cancer. It is so important that we all embrace that and move forward to make sure you're in that database. We're still leaning into mental illness. We have a group that's working on mental illness and mental resilience. We can't just talk about the post and the post-traumatic stress. We need to talk about pre and making sure that you are ready, that you have the capability to process the things that you shouldn't be seeing, that you see every day, that you process them normally. And we are also talking about building codes still, because if we can't implement building codes, as I already said, we're continuing to build toward risk. If we can't change that risk environment, then what you are responding to is a much greater risk and much greater capability for your exposures and for your injury or death. We have to continue across the nation to recognize that, yes, our fires may have plateaued. In some cities, they haven't. But the fires we're having are deadly, much more deadly, multiple fatalities in our fires today. And so we have to stay front of mind that fire is still a problem. We still have a fire challenge across America. We're also talking about elevating all of the fire service. You know, within the national level, particularly the federal government, this one voice effort is being heard. I've been on Capitol Hill several times, and I've been asked about the one voice. We understand there's a one voice effort. Yes, we are standing together. Now, if they've heard it, it means it matters. And so we continue. This year, we have added 4 new strategies to the original 6 that I've just spoken about, and one of those is EMS. You know, when 70% of our call volume is EMS, we need to be talking about it a bit more. And so we are talking and have a group that's working around fire-based EMS and making sure that you have the resources and the training that you need to carry forward. We're also talking about data and technology. This is another of our national strategies. Now, you've all heard, and if you were here last year when I told you, we are going to be decommissioning the National Fire Incident Reporting System, our legacy INFIR system that we've all come to hate. That happens everywhere I say that, so thank you. Because that is useless to us anymore. We've made the best we could out of it for too long, and we can't any longer depend on 2-year-old data, and you have nothing at the local level. And so we are launching the new National Emergency Reporting System called NERIS. This system is going to be an analytics platform for you. It's going to minimize, no more data entry coming back to the station necessarily. You can do it right from your phone on scene. Be able to upload a picture, and that becomes data in itself. And so we can leverage data that already exists, but we've got a work group around this and making sure that we are ready to help you change the culture, because we don't want you to hate data anymore because you have to have the burden of entry. We want you to make the best of the data. And so NERIS is going to be a real-time platform that by the time you get back to the station, you'll be able to see a dashboard with that call you just were on in it. And you'll be able to see your performance and how you did on scene. Data we've never had before. And we're going to make sure that all of your departments can onboard, because it's going to be down to the very basic rural departments, our smallest volunteer departments who have no computers. All they're using is a paper logbook. You'll be able to enter data, a minimal set of data, right from your phone, and you're going to have information for the first time. Our departments that have CADs and RMS systems, we're going to link with you, and then the departments that have everything from a technology standpoint will be able to make sure that you are moving your data quickly and processing it well. And so it's going to look something like this. You'll have each of your departments will come on board. We're not going to be passing the data from your local departments through the states anymore. The states still have full access, but we're going to have your department go direct to this system so that we can turn around in near real time your dashboards with high-level analytics that are going to give you insights. But they're dynamic. They're not a one-and-done static kind of analytics. It's real time for you. You're going to be able to change it and make suggestions. And this way, for the first time, we're going to be able to track those lithium-ion battery fires. We're going to be able to track things that are happening. As I said, the base risk have changed, and we're going to track those now so that you have insights, and we can tell decision makers about the issues we have. So it's coming soon. There are a lot of events that are happening around near us. Please stay tuned. And if you haven't seen any of the webinars, please get yourself ready, because by November of this year, we are going to open up onboarding. Each department should have a person ready to go, ready to onboard the system and move forward. We'll be decommissioning the infra system by Q2 of 2025. As you onboard, you can stop doing infers. There's your incentive. As soon as you onboard with the nearest system, you can move forward and stop doing your nearest reports. So make sure you're ready. We're also leading the discussion on lithium-ion batteries, making sure that we are educating the community. These fires are new, and every incident is a research incident. Whether it is an EV or a micromobility product, everyone is a research incident right now. And so we're keeping track. And then finally, we are elevating the conversation around cardiac. We still have a lot of firefighters with cardiovascular issues. And I'm really excited to announce to you that we have added Dr. Denise Smith to the team at the United States Fire Administration. Dr. Smith, that many of you know, is now our director of the National Fire Research and Data Center. Dr. Smith is going to lead forward as she always has, and we're excited to have her on board. So with that, I want to say thank you for letting me brief you this morning on what we're doing at the United States Fire Administration. Please visit our team over in the Lucas Oil Center. We've brought a full force there. And I want to say to you that on behalf of President Biden, the Secretary of Homeland, Alejandro Mayorkas, our FEMA Administrator, Dan Criswell, and all of the men and women at your United States Fire Administration, may God bless those on the front lines and protect their families. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we're rolling.